Hi, welcome back to Caterpillar Summer as we read Chapter 7 and 8. Chapter 7. During the heat of the afternoon, Lily and Chicken played Go Fish. Cat read in her room. When she came downstairs, the house was quiet. Lily and Chicken were gone. Maybe they'd gone outside. Of course, she hasn't seen Macon since morning. Cat pushed the sliding glass door, and as she did, a scream came from the beach. She froze for an instant. Chicken! She imagined the worst. He was upset and ran down the beach, or worse, into the waves. Her heart flip-flopped at the thought. She ran into the sand. Chicken and Lily were there, on the beach. Somehow Chicken had convinced her to take the laundry basket outside. Are you all right? She asked when she got close enough. I thought I heard you scream. Chicken turned to her. We dug up a half-eaten crab. It was super gross. Lily smiled. We threw it in the sand over there a ways if you want to see before a gull snatches it. Cat would wait for her heart to return to normal before she went looking for something disgusting. They were building a sandcastle, and Lily sat in the sand, but Chicken kneeled in the basket and reached over the edge to dig. He leaned so far it looked like he might topple out. Careful of your treasures, said Lily. He squinted up at Cat. See my collection? Inside the basket were dozens of shells. Very nice, said Cat. She sank to the ground and scooped a handful of sand. When we're done, we'll fill that bucket and make the moat, Chicken explained. Lily beamed at him. To keep dragons out? Chicken looked at Lily like she'd lost her mind. It's so sharks can live there. He shook his head and went back to his digging, muttering dragons under his breath. Cat smiled to herself, excavating a handful of sand. Moats were obviously for sharks. Lily hadn't totally figured out Chicken yet. Lily handed her a plastic shovel. The shovel was flimsy, but better than using her hands. Well, we'll find better toys, said Lily. We weren't prepared. Cat didn't want Lily making a big deal out of their visit. They would leave in 3 weeks, probably never come back. Don't bother buying anything new. We won't be here long. They worked quietly for a while. Lily mounded damp sand on the castle. After a while, Chicken and he was tired of digging. He arranged the shell collection into smaller piles. Digging made Cat feel peaceful and calm. Rishi's family used to take us to the beach sometimes when Mom worked. Sounds nice, said Lily. Most of the time the water was too cold to swim, Cat went on, but we could dig. From the laundry basket came a blop, 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 vroom. Chicken was making motorboat noises. Cat and Lily flashed a quiet smile at each other. This is my favorite time of the day. Lily's voice was barely louder than the sound of waves. The way it cools off before sunset, the light so beautiful everything glows. Cat squeezed a mound of sand. She opened her fingers slowly. The sand had ridges from the spaces between her fingers. My dad always talked about the light like that. Lily paused mid-scoop. He saw such beauty in every day. Cat, startled, looked up from her hands. Did you know him? Oh, yes, said Lily. Amanda brought him home many times, even before they were dating. He liked the island, and I loved having them here. This seemed like a clue, one that had popped out of nowhere. To her, To hide her surprise, Kat concentrated on smoothing the walls of the moat. She didn't know that Macon and Lily had ever met Daddy, but they had. It sounded as if Lily liked him, even. Kat wondered what Macon thought. It would be close to impossible to find out with the way he hid in his workshop all the time. The one time he actually talked to them, he rushed off abruptly. Maybe he was the reason Mom left. Lily squinted at something behind Kat. "Oh dear," she said. "Those boys shouldn't be on those dunes. They know better." Up by the houses, 3 boys jumped and rolled on the sandy hills. "The signs say, 'Stay off,'" said Kat. "The dunes were protected," said Lily. "If the beach grass dies, it will destroy the dune." "How obnoxious," said Kat. Lily looked like she was thinking about saying something to the boys, but instead she turned to Kat. "It's so nice having you here. Kat, you're such a great kid." "Oh," said Kat, looking down. She squeezed the sand between her fingers. "Thanks." "I see how you look out for Chicken," said Lily. "You do so much for him." Kat shrugged. Chicken made a speedboat noises. "Holding a family together is a quiet kind of work," Lily continued. "Sometimes that work doesn't get noticed so much." Kat brushed the sand from her hands, thinking both Mom and Chicken would go in 100 different directions without Kat there to steady them, but sometimes it was like they didn't notice she was there. Lily had a point. Suddenly, the boat noises stopped. Chicken peeped over the edge of the laundry basket. "I have to poop," he announced. "Emergency." Lily touched her hand lightly to her chest. Gracious. She gave Chicken her hand. They hurried inside. Kat held the basket and gathered the toys. She didn't want to build a castle anymore. The beach was deserted except for the boys playing on the dunes. They climbed to the top and flipped forward, turning a circle in the air before landing. A wheelbarrow stood at the bottom, and they nearly crashed into it several times. They didn't seem to care, just clambered up the hill again, not noticing the plants they trampled. Kat inched closer. 2 boys had brown hair, and one had floppy blonde hair. The blonde kid was smaller than the other 2. She guessed he was 8 or 9, somewhere in between her and Chicken's age. And he wasn't as solid as the other boys, not as strong. The biggest boy took the most daring flips. He also assigned scores to each of them according to some made-up scoring pattern. "Tanner, that's 50 points. John Harvey, that's 6 for you." Kat rolled her eyes. 6 points for the little blonde kid. When the other one got 50, it made her sure the bigger boy was John Harvey's brother. John Harvey frowned. "That's not fair, Briggs." His voice was surprisingly deep and raspy for a little kid. Briggs sneered. "Don't be such a baby. You'll get more points if you managed a halfway decent flip." John Harvey's neck flushed. He scrambled up the dune and stood at the top waving his arms. "I'll do a backflip." Briggs and the other boy laughed. "I'd love to see you try," said Briggs. John Harvey glared at them. 100 points if you make it." He threw himself back from the top of the hill. His start was strong, and at first it seemed he would land on his feet, but he lost momentum part way. He smacked the ground face first in the world's sandiest belly flop. John Harvey lay still face down while the other boys hooted. Briggs kicked an arch of sand across John Harvey's legs. He didn't react. Kat set down the laundry basket and moved closer. She couldn't walk away with him lying there. He could have hurt his back or neck. The bigger boys jostled each other, laughing. Hey, Cat said. They didn't stop. She walked closer. Hey! This time they heard her. The older boys turned her way, and as they did, John Harvey stirred. He sat up, scrubbing his eyes and mouth. The sand coating his face made him look like a sugar donut. What do you want? Briggs asked. He glared at her like she was the one who'd done something wrong. Cat couldn't stand kids who had to be so nasty. She tilted her head at John Harvey. He looked small, sitting on the ground. Are you okay? Briggs and the other boy laughed. Cat frowned. That was not the reaction she was expecting. Briggs pushed John Henry's shoulder. You got a girl standing up for you. Cat glared at Briggs. She didn't know what being a girl had to do with anything. You shouldn't pick on that little kids. At this, the older boy started laughing so hard they bent over. John Harvey's ears flamed red. He got to his feet and stood straight. I'm not little, I'm 12. Cat raised her eyebrows. 12? She looked at him carefully. He was short, but compact and strong-looking in a way most little kids weren't. His face pinched in a snarl. What a baby, Briggs said, stretching out his voice so the vowels took forever and a day. What a sweet little baby. Maybe she can help you do your flip next time, added Tanner. He grinned when this comment sent Briggs into a new wave of laughter. Kat's face warmed, partly for herself and partly for John Harvey. You shouldn't have been up on the dunes anyway. The boy straightened up. Briggs' laugh was gone, and he had that sneer again. What do you know about it? He asked. Here on vacation, and you're some kind of expert? Let me guess, 1 week rental? Cat glared back at him, heart buzzing like a trapped insect. She wasn't wrong. Lily said being on the dunes was wrong, even illegal. He had no right to make her feel like she didn't belong. She straightened her shoulders. For your information, she began, I'm not on vacation. I'm staying with my grandparents who live here. She pointed to the signs behind them. And anyway, I don't have to be here to know how to read unless you guys haven't learned how. Shut up, said John Harvey. He shook his hair out of his eyes. At least we don't take a laundry basket to the beach. Cat was about to ask what that meant coming from a kid who'd brought a wheelbarrow, but Briggs was too quick for her. With a few long steps, he crossed to the basket on the sand, scooped it with one hand, and tossed it to Tanner. Toys and seashells spilled out. Cat clenched her fists by her sides. Give it back. That's my brother's. The boys tossed the basket to John Harvey in a lopsided arch. He caught it and looked toward Briggs, who jerked his head toward the dune. John Harvey's mouth curled in a mean smile. He scaled the dune and placed the basket at the top. Why do you have this out here anyway? Doing your laundry? The other boys laughed. Why do you have that wheelbarrow? Cat asked. Doing some gardening? They ignored her. Let's get out of here, said Briggs. I hate this part of the beach anyway. She couldn't believe they were leaving Chicken's basket on the dune. You better go get it, Cat yelled after them. Briggs spun around, walking backward as he shouted back at her. Or what? Cat didn't have an answer. John Harvey sneered. Next time, we'll toss it in the ocean. The three of them laughed and continued walking down the beach, John Harvey pushing their dumb wheelbarrow, which made stupid lines in the sand. She pushed her fingers against her eyes. She was not going to cry over a bunch of nasty, dumb island kids. She had to get the basket. The dune was steeper than she realized. She wanted to climb it in a dash, but instead she lumbered awkwardly. If she paused to take a breath, she slid backward and stumbled on the loose sand. Finally, she found footholds and made her way to the top. A window in the nearby house whooshed up. A balding man leaned out. "Hey, now, you'll need to get off that dune." Kat held up the basket. "I was," she started. The window slammed shut. Inside, she boiled. She got yelled at, and the boys didn't hear a peep. She hurried down the dune and gathered the seashells and sand toys. It was a small island, but not a tiny one. If she was lucky, she could avoid those boys. She slid open the glass door. "My boat," said Chicken. Chicken had no idea what she'd been through to get that dumb basket, but he still could have said thank you for bringing it in. "Nice to see you too," said Kat. Chicken shrugged. "I am glad to see you, Kat, but I'm extra super glad to see my boat." He put the basket over his head and marched around the living room. Lily was busy chopping vegetables. Kat didn't want to talk to her anyway, not about this. She felt deflated, emptied out after what had happened on the beach. She turned to Chicken. "Let's see if Mom can video chat." "Yes, I want to show her my boat." Kat ran upstairs for her tablet and brought it back down. It took a while to connect. "Now don't yell and don't put your face too close to the screen," she reminded Chicken. "I won't," he said. "Well, you always do," said Kat. "Not always," said Chicken, leaning backward so far he almost fell over. Finally, it connected with a ping. "Hey, kid," said Mom. "How are you doing?" "My phone's low on charge, so I can't talk for long." "We were on the beach 2 times today," said Chicken. "Also, we saw Macon's boat, which goes in a jar." "Not a jar, a bottle," said Kat. "That's nice," said Mom. "What else?" "Lily showed us their big blue book," said Chicken, "except it's not blue. But other than that, it is like our big blue book." "I saw your photos," said Kat. Even on a tiny screen from 400 miles away, it was easy to see that Mom was uncomfortable. "Pretty boxing, right?" Kat didn't know what she was talking about. Mom and Macon had been grinning in all of those photos. That wasn't boring. That was special, the kind of special she wanted with Mom. "You went fishing with Macon all the time," she said. "It was a lifetime ago," Mom answered. "Could we go this weekend when you visit?" asked Kat. "Could you teach me?" Come on, Mom, please." Mom sighed. "Okay, we'll see." Kat grinned. They would fish together, be a team together. It wasn't as good as their Atlanta trip, but would have been. But it could be a kind of second place vacation. "My phone is running out. Let's talk later this week." "Love you guys. Be good." "Yes, Mama," said Chicken. "Love you too," said Kat. The picture cut out. Kat looked at the blank screen for a moment before turning it off. She didn't know why Mom had to be so mysterious about her past. Kat thought about everything she had learned so far, that Mom had loved fishing, that Macon was a busy doctor, that Mom had left and never come back. Nothing added up. It felt like Kat had a handful of puzzle pieces but couldn't see the picture they made. Mom held all the pieces, but she wasn't helpful. She avoided talking about the island as much as she could. To get the answers she needed, Kat would have to be creative. If Mom wouldn't tell her, she'd have to find someone who could. Tune in next time as we read Chapter 8.